Yeah, I'm getting about as reliable as the English weather at doing this vlogging stuff, aren't I? Right. Lots of hair growth you can see. After my mishap on holiday, where my BlackBerry died after being drowned, I went out and got a new phone, but with a different contract because um, I thought that I knew that O2 weren't basically really going to offer me anything decent. And I really just wanted to try someone different, and to try a different company. I thought about getting another BlackBerry. Also thought about getting an iPhone, and that led to the whole debate about, do I wait for the iPhone 5 to come out, because there's lots of um, Apple fans and nerdy geeks that are in pant-wetting excitement in expectation of the arrival of the iPhone 5. And again, I thought, well, do I really need to spend that sort of money? Um, so anyway, in the end, I plumped for this little baby, which is the HTC Wildfire S, and I got mine on a contract with Three for £20, which I thought was really actually quite good. I don't need unlimited data, which is what I had with O2, and it's actually quite a good little phone. It's my first Android phone, and I'm really quite impressed with it. The only thing there's only two things that I'm a little bit narked with it about. One is the battery life isn't that brilliant, and the other thing that irks me a bit is the touchscreen keyboard, which I knew was something that was going to be bothering me. But I tried it in the shop and feel that I can make it work. I've got my entry method in portrait mode to be to actually be like a normal phone. You can't actually see that, can you? Because it glares out. To actually be like a normal phone screen, so it's kind of like using predictive texting instead of actually trying to fit a QWERTY keyboard like that, or even like that. But I just find that a bit easier to use than any of the other input methods. Ironically, it has a voice recognition thing on it where you can actually speak, and it does a very good recognition of your voice, turning that into a text message. The irony hits me there. If I actually wanted to say what I wanted to put into a text message, and I'd just fucking ring the person. So, clever technology. But no, on the whole, really quite happy with it. Considering buying a larger battery off of eBay for it, because I'm not very impressed with how long it lasts. It only just makes it from me getting up in the morning to me getting home at night, and that's not with me even really using it that much. So I think that's pretty poor. But that might be because I didn't charge it for the 8 hours that they always recommend that you do. So yeah, read the bloody manual. So yeah, how have things been? The cats have been for their ops to be spayed and neutered, which one's which. So basically, Midnight, which is the boy, is had the snip, and Twilight, which is the girl, is now unable to. Well, she's got a girl, but it's taken out. So bless her. There'll be no kitten teen pregnancies, and certainly no kitten incest. It's not an episode of Brookside for kittens in the flat. So yeah, that's kind of like it. Really managed to get my. I can't remember what I actually said in the last vlog, which is a bit stupid because I could have just watched it before recording this one, but I just felt the burning need to just actually record one. I will record one actually on the video camera on my Wildfire, because actually the 5 megapixel camera on here is actually really quite good. Quite impressed with it. Actually, quite impressed with the shutter speed on it. The my BlackBerry was really quite pressed, and then you've got that half a second lag before it takes the picture that you get that. Whereas this is pretty much instantaneous, which is really quite cool. So really chuffed about that. And well, as time goes on, I'll get more used to it. And well, bye bye O2. Sorry, you lucked out. But yeah, it's everything's going alright. Had to cancel the show that we had lined up to do for December, basically because we couldn't get enough people to be interested for it, and there isn't now enough time to scrabble around to get them to do that without making the rehearsal schedule really tight. And it's been so long now since the actual show that I really can't be asked. So perhaps need to apply the JFDI principle to self. The show that Andy and I have written, we've got a bit slow of late. We've written about a scene or two more than before I went on holiday, but not a huge amount. And there's still a load of post-its on my wall, so we need to make some progress with that. Otherwise, it will be colliding. It will be colliding with NaNoWriMo in November, and my God, it's September, and God, it's September the 11th, which of course is a day that lives in infamy as the day that changed our world forever. And I know everybody's world changes in inexorable but probably really petite ways every single day anyway, but this was, as they called, a real game changer. The events of September the 11th 2001. Everybody remembers where they were on that day when they, the fateful day when they saw those planes fly into the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, and the one that flew into the Pentagon. Yeah, good grief. 10 years. There's lots of changes in the world in those 10 years. Lots of things have happened that I'm not going to get into right now, about the logic of preserving peace by bombing the shit out of other people. But my don't mean to be selfish, but I also drew the comparison of the changes in my life in 10 years, because 10 years ago, Chloe was in a pushchair, and Chloe's mum, my ex-wife, I and Chloe had actually just come back from a day trip to Gosport, when a relative had called us up to warn us about what was happening. And but in that 10 years, it feels like, actually, to be honest, it feels to me like I've lived 20 years in that 10 years. If that makes sense, it feels like there's been a lot of life, a lot of events in those 10 years. And I guess for Chloe, obviously, those 10 years are pretty much the bulk of her life. They're 80% of her life so far, and she's gone from, at the start of those 10 years, from being a toddler to actually being on the cusp of being a teenager, like she is now. What a difference a decade makes.